site in Eden, a home of unsurpassed beauty, befitting those he had made in his own image. But the woman Eve wandered from her husband's side and entered upon forbidden ground, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Eve now tempted Adam to disobey as she had done, to enter the realms of unbelief and darkness. Adam understood that his wife had transgressed the command of God. There was a terrible struggle in Adam's mind, but at last he chose the woman Eve instead of God. Adam and Eve were now lost, and had it not been for the promised sacrifice of Christ, symbolized by the innocent blood of the Lamb, mankind would have been eternally lost. In consequence, Adam was commanded to sacrifice a lamb, a symbol of the coming Christ. The sacrificial service continued in its symbology down to the time of a man named Abraham. Abraham was given a son named Isaac, meaning laughter. Dearly beloved by Abraham, Isaac was the son of promise, a promise made to Abraham of a posterity more numerous than the stars of the heavens. But God asked Abraham to do something beyond his understanding, beyond his comprehension. God commanded Abraham to take his son, his beloved son Isaac, and offer him upon a mountain of God's own choosing. And so the 3-day journey of torture began. In agony, Abraham obeyed, taking his son Isaac and offering him upon the altar a sacrifice unto the Lord as he had been commanded. It was by faith that Abraham was strengthened to obey. He raised the knife and was about to slay his son when a voice called to him,
Abraham, Abraham, do not lay a hand on the boy or do anything to him, for now I know that you fear God, for you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me.
God did not require the sacrifice of Abraham's son Isaac, for there was yet another that would die, the Son of God, the Lamb of God. He and he alone could take away the sins of the world. Continuing on down through the span of human history, another man came on to the drama stage. His name was Moses. God called Moses, the leader of Israel, to the mountaintop, into the presence of divinity. And it was there that the tabernacle service was revealed to this man of God in all its glory, passion, and power. Moses was given the plan for the symbolic service of the sanctuary. Hidden within its mystery and beauty was the plan of redemption, the plan that God himself had designed to reveal to man his great love. For God so loved the world that he would give his only begotten Son. As an object lesson, not only to Israel, but to the entire human race, for as long as time should last, God would give the symbology of the sanctuary. And God said,
They are to make a sanctuary for me, that I may dwell among them.
The tabernacle was so constructed that it could be taken apart and borne with the Israelites in all their journeyings. It was therefore small, being not more than 55 feet in length and 18 in breadth and height. Yet it was a magnificent structure. The walls consisted of upright boards overlaid with gold, giving to the building the appearance of solid gold. The roof was formed of 4 sets of curtains, the innermost of fine twine linen and blue and purple and scarlet. The other 3, respectively, were of goat's hair, ram's skin dyed red, and seal skins, so arranged as to afford complete protection. The building was divided into 2 apartments by a rich and beautiful curtain or veil, suspended from gold-plated pillars, and a similar veil closed the entrance of the first apartment. These, like the inner covering which formed the ceiling, were of the most gorgeous colors, blue, purple, and scarlet, beautifully arranged and inwrought with threads of gold and silver. The sacred tent was enclosed in an open space called the court. In the court, and nearest the entrance, stood the brazen altar of burnt offering. Upon this altar were consumed all the sacrifices made by fire unto the Lord, and its horns were sprinkled with the atoning blood. Between the altar and the door of the tabernacle was the laver, which was also of brass, made from the mirrors that had been the free will offering of the women of Israel. At the laver the priests were to wash their hands and their feet whenever they went into the sacred apartments or approached the altar to offer a burnt offering unto the Lord. In the first apartment, or holy place, were the table of showbread, the candlestick, and the altar of incense. The table of showbread stood on the north, with its ornamental crown, and was overlaid with pure gold. On this table the priests were each Sabbath to place 12 cakes, arranged in 2 piles, and sprinkled with frankincense. On the south was the 7-branched candlestick, with its 7 lamps. Its branches were ornamented with exquisitely wrought flowers, and the whole was made from one solid piece of gold. There being no windows in the tabernacle, the lamps were never all extinguished at one time, but shed their light by day and by night. Just before the veil, separating the holy place from the most holy and the immediate presence of God, stood the golden altar of incense. Upon this altar the priest was to burn incense every morning and evening. Its horns were touched with the blood of the sin offering, and it was sprinkled with blood upon the great day of atonement. Day and night the holy incense diffused its fragrance throughout the sacred apartments and without, far around the tabernacle. Beyond the inner veil was the Holy of Holies, where centered the symbolic service of atonement and intercession, and which formed the connecting link between heaven and earth. In this apartment was the ark, a chest of acacia wood overlaid within and without with gold, and having a crown of gold upon the top. It was made as a depository for the tables of stone upon which God himself had inscribed the 10 Commandments. The cover of the sacred chest was called the mercy seat. This was wrought of one solid piece of gold, and was surmounted by golden cherubim, one standing on each end. The wing of each angel was stretched forth on high, while the other was folded over the body in token of reverence and humility. The position of the cherubim, with their faces turned toward each other and looking reverently downward toward the ark, represented the reverence with which the heavenly host regard the law of God and their interest in the plan of redemption. Above the mercy seat was the Shekinah, the manifestation of the divine presence, and from between the cherubim God made known his will. Divine messages were sometimes communicated to the high priest by voice from the cloud. Sometimes a light fell upon the angel at the right to signify approval or acceptance, or a shadow or cloud rested upon the one at the left to reveal disapproval or rejection. No language can describe the glory of the scene presented within the sanctuary. The gold-plated walls reflecting the light from the golden candlestick, the brilliant hues of the richly embroidered curtains, the table and the altar of incense glittering with gold. Beyond the second veil, the sacred ark with its mystic cherubim, and above it, the holy Shekinah, the visible manifestation of Jehovah's presence, all but a dim reflection of the glories of the temple of God in heaven, the great center of the work for man's redemption.
The temple of God was opened in heaven, and there was seen in his temple the ark of the testament, and there were trumpets and voices and thunderings. And I saw the Lord seated on a high and lofty throne, and his robe filled the temple. Seraphim were standing above him. Each one had 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face. With 2 he covered his feet. And with 2 he flew. And one called to another, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. The foundations of the doorways shook at the sound of their voices, and the temple was filled with smoke. Then I said, Woe is me, for I am undone, because my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts. Now of the things we have spoken, this is the sum. We have such an high priest, who is set on the right hand of the throne of the majesty in the heavens, a minister of the sanctuary, and of the true tabernacle, which the Lord pitched, and not man.